Eric Wilson.
Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you. 3 in a row.
We are
Hat-trick.
here 3 in a row for the final day of the week with this TMZ podcast in the afternoon.
What a week it's been.
Again, if you're new to this in the afternoon, this is the TMZ podcast, basically part 2.
Yeah.
In the morning, we catch you up on the breaking news stories. And then in the afternoon, around 2:30, 2:45 Pacific time, whenever we get away from our desks, we come in here and we update you on all of the breaking updates throughout the day because things break here pretty much feels like every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So we have new updates in the Nancy Guthrie case that specifically actually involved TMZ because we got a third email from someone who claims to know the identity of the suspect.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go through the details here. We couldn't divulge specifics with this because we sent it off to the FBI. We sent it off to authorities.
Some specifics.
But we're going to give you everything that we have.
Yeah.
So TMZ, we received the latest message a few hours ago. This person claims to not trust law enforcement and is using TMZ as an intermediary between himself and authorities. If you're not caught up, this is the third note from this week. Wednesday, we got the first note, not from the kidnapper or the alleged kidnapper, but from someone who claims to know the identity of the kidnapper that has Nancy Guthrie, and they asked for a Bitcoin, gave us the address, and said once the Bitcoin is sent to the address, they will provide the identity. A second note was sent out yesterday morning after 8 a.m. Pacific, and they said that they're not being taken seriously.
Yeah.
And they said that this will be the last communication from us. This is your last chance. Obviously, that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Today, we got another one.
He thinks that the FBI raised the reward because of this guy. Obviously, maybe not obviously, but we assume they raised the reward because of how deep we're getting into this and how important it is to, get information on this. But he thinks it's to discredit him. So now he is asking for the full $100,000 reward.
But in a payment plan, essentially.
Yes. Yes.
Reveal what that is, Eric.
Yeah. So he wants $50,000 worth of Bitcoin up front. Upon receiving that first payment, he will provide the information about the identity of this alleged kidnapper, and then he wants the remaining $50,000. He claims, though, that he will not withdraw the initial $50,000 until the alleged kidnapper is arrested. So,
got you.
I mean, obviously, we don't know if this guy's legit. We don't know what he actually knows. We don't know who he is. I shouldn't even say he. At this point. But it seems trying to be fair. He's trying to make a deal here. But, in his previous ones, he also said a couple times that this would be the last communication, and now we're on communication 3. So,
but he also alleged in this lengthy note that there might be more people involved. So he said that once the initial amount is paid, he will, quote, give the name of the main individual. The phrasing main individual suggests that he believes there might be accomplices involved. Now, this leads me to, the theory that it could be something like the cartel involved, which if that's the case, there would be multiple people, especially if these are professionals that are doing this, that have done this before. Because let's be real here. It seems like they're kind of just chasing every lead they have right now. It almost seems like the case is not going in a one-way direction right now. And they don't really have... I don't know what they have, but at least right now in the public eye, they don't have anyone serious on the
They have
lines.
a wide net.
Very wide net. Now, what do you think, Eric? It's been so many days now since this all began. We're approaching 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
2 weeks since...
2 weeks Sunday.
Right, 2 weeks early morning on Sunday. We've seen multiple new videos come out. We saw a new video come out just yesterday, and then another video today as well.
Yeah. And again, all these videos coming out, these are just people who are doing what the FBI is asking them to do. They're checking their Ring cameras and their Nest cameras to see for any activity, and then they post them. There's also sleuths. We're getting tips from people who are just going into the Neighbors app and looking at people in Tucson and going through their Ring cameras and things that they've published of people casing houses and going into backyards and things like that. So we're looking at this, as if these are possible people who are involved in this case, but they could just be normal burglars.
Right, and I'll tell you this,
it's hard
Eric,
to speculate
because I've looked at these videos and I've got a whole nother mindset now about Tucson, Arizona.
I know, for real.
It seems like not the
I'm
safest
like,
place.
what is going on over there? Even on my live shot, it was like we were talking about what is going on in Tucson, that Does this happen everywhere?
If I were you,
focusing on the situation.
let me tell you this: if I lived in Tucson right now, I would be locked and loaded all night long. Definitely have a Ring camera in all my houses. So it sounds like they might have additional footage come out because this place is just known. I actually looked it up. There's a statistic that Tucson has a higher rate of property crime. And we're now seeing all these people. You know, someone did say, because they're talking about the backpack that was allegedly identified as a Walmart Ozark backpack, right? Now, people are saying, man, if you have a goatee in the town of Tucson and you own a Walmart Ozark backpack that you just purchased, get out of town, essentially, because they are just chasing everything they've got right now. And they were not afraid to detain someone a couple days ago. They tailed someone, went to his home, damaged his garage door, broke down the door. They're just chasing everything right now. And I'm interested to see this glove that they've taken into custody.
Well, apparently they have several gloves. And gloves with DNA.
With DNA.
And obviously some of the drama with that has been, you know, we spoke to the Pima County Sheriff's Office, and they're saying there is no drama, but there are reports of drama between the FBI and the Sheriff's Office about this DNA and where it should be tested. Pima County has a contract with a lab in Florida that they're sending it to. I don't know if they have a good relationship or track record, but I would imagine no one has a better DNA sourcing track record than the FBI in Quantico. So I think it was the better decision to move it to Quantico, which is, I'm sure, what the FBI suggested. Right. But Pima County is saying that the FBI supported their decision to send it to Florida. And I you know,
this is wild.
If there's only a little bit of DNA and they send it to this lab in Florida and they somehow mess it up, the investigation could end right there.
I did this on a live shot with actually Arizona today, and I said, this is kind of wild to me because if you think about movies, you watch movies where there's massive cases happening like this, a big plot line is when the FBI shows up and says, I'm in charge now.
Yeah.
And the sheriffs usually get upset, and that's usually a plot line.
But that's a movie. If you watch Netflix documentaries, the big line you always see is, and that's when this police officer made a terrible decision and ruined the DNA, ruined the evidence, walked through the crime scene with shoes and no
From the FBI's perspective.
That's always the twist in a Netflix documentary or docuseries, which I love binging, where they're like, this was the moment everything turned because this cop messed it all up.
But at the same time,
this is what I feel like when this Netflix doc drops, there's going to be some bombshells for sure.
Seriously. And like I said, at the same time, you know, it can go the other way as well, because I've seen Netflix documentaries years after the case broke and they found additional information where the sheriff was really the one who was able to crack the case because of something he thought about.
Yeah, but it's always like the sheriff who like, I couldn't crack this case and now he's retired and still working on the case.
Yeah, right.
You know,
it's
so
just,
maybe
I really hope...
This case, I mean, the sheriff obviously likes basketball more than Netflix, so...
Yeah, right. I mean, but it's the fact that they're fighting right now... we've never seen anything like this, not at least in recent times. I don't think I've been alive during a ransom situation.
I'm sure it happens
like
all the time, but
it's just not
it's such a high profile situation that we're really getting, because I'm sure they're all frustrated. I'm sure everybody involved is frustrated whether they're doing the right thing or not. You know, at the end of the day, I hope everyone's priority is figuring out where and what is up with Nancy and getting this alleged kidnapper back.
Right. And by the way, guys, we're seeing all this from inside the newsroom, inside our office, breaking news all day long in the newsroom. I want to know, because you're all out there seeing all these multiple outlets reporting on this. I just want to hear your perspective on the situation. Please leave a comment. We are live on YouTube right now. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think is the outcome of this case, what you think of the FBI and the sheriffs arguing. I want to know your thoughts on this because there's so many moving parts. And let's go back to the third note that we got today as well, exclusively to TMZ. This person, we can't divulge specifics, but this individual, this sender, referenced Nancy Guthrie's current condition, but TMZ, unfortunately, is not able to divulge those specifics because we did send it off to the FBI, and they are investigating it. And I will say, to credit the FBI, typically when we give them the information, they eventually divulge information through statements once they've investigated it.
Yeah.
So please just keep an eye out on these statements.
I mean, we get
everything.
tipsters, and we're essentially tipsters for the FBI too. So
Exactly.
that's all you can do.
Well, let's move on to another story today. I know we've been covering Nancy Guthrie so much, but it's just the biggest story in the world right now, and it just keeps on giving at this very moment. Don Lemon, something else happened today in a completely different side of the news. Don Lemon has pled not guilty to federal charges. Eric, right off the bat, what's your thoughts on this?
I fully support and agree with that. That's what he should be doing. These are obviously, in my opinion, bogus charges that they're trying to put against him to distract us from, what happened with ICE in Minnesota and the people that ICE officers or, officers killed during these protests and everything like that. So I think it's bogus. I think he should fight this. I think this will be a landmark case for journalists moving forward. Freedom of speech, all this kind of stuff. And obviously they're trying to lean on, freedom of speech. There's, it's involved with freedom of religion. And so they're trying to put those two things against each other with this case, I feel. And they're relying on, what is the exact charge?
So it's
injuring, intimidating, and interfering with the exercise of religious freedom.
He's also charged with that, but the main charge he is facing is one count of conspiracy against the right of religious freedom at a place of worship, and that's where the argument is.
Yeah,
is whether or not you can enter a place of worship to cover, quote unquote, cover the news.
So essentially, this church, the church's exact name, a church in Minnesota.
There it is. Yeah,
a church in Minnesota was in the middle of a mass, I guess. Where people were there praying, and then protesters, a group broke into the church. I don't know if we want to say broke in, but they went into the church, and they really started to interrupt the proceedings and protest inside the church for all this ICE stuff that was going on. And then Don Lemon, outside and inside, covered this group of activists. And people are saying that he was involved more than he was covering.
Really quick, before we get into our opinions on this subject, let's just quickly mention what happened today in court. Don Lemon did declare, "I will not be silenced." He vowed to defend journalism and the First Amendment. Lemon said he's fighting not just for himself, but for Minnesotans. Is that right? Minnesotans impacted by the federal immigration surge. I'm just going to say this. Yeah. Don Lemon is loving this. This has only benefited him. I'm not saying, I'm going one way or the other, but this has been just great for Don Lemon. I went on his YouTube channel right before this. He's got tens of thousands of viewers live watching him sit there and look all serious, I'm just trying to defend everybody. But come on, let's be real here. This is Don Lemon.
There's definitely some showmanship involved in this situation, but at the end of the day, what he's fighting for is more important, and I think outweighs the fact that maybe he is loving the attention or loving that he's going to be this poster child for this fight for the First Amendment.
Eric, what is he fighting for though? He's
fighting for the government charging him with bogus charges just because he was covering a situation that the government started.
But it's not bogus charges if the law says
bogus charges.
You cannot enter a place of worship.
He was not
do this.
He was not part of the protest. He was covering the protest that was going on. Whether or not this group DM'd him and said, "Hey, we're going to be going to do this," or whether he stumbled upon them ready to go inside, whatever the case may be, he was covering the situation. That's what a journalist does. They cover the situation wherever you go. If you send somebody into war to cover the war, they're not on one side just because they're standing on one side of the line doesn't mean they're fighting with that group. You can't charge them for war crimes. They're journalists. They're there to cover.
I get that, but this just comes down to the law, and that's what's going to be
exactly
read here.
And I understand having this law. It's a very important law for religious freedom.
Right.
He did not break that law. He was not anywhere near breaking that law.
So last week on 2 Angry Men, or 2 weeks ago on 2 Angry Men, Mark Garagos, who's the co-host with Harvey Levin, his argument, is that they are going to fight tooth and nail to prove that that this was conspiracy, that Don Lemon conspired and was a part of the demonstration going inside of the building.
And that's what I mean. They're probably going to look at this group who maybe sent him a DM or said something to him like, "Hey, we plan on doing this," or "Hey, meet us here so we can go do this." And they're probably going to lean into that and try to attach him that way.
Right. Right. I don't know. I just, for me personally, I feel like Don Lemon conspired with the outside protesters.
Why do you feel that way?
I don't know. He was there
It's a bold statement
he
to
was
not know
there
why you
at the
feel
right
that way.
place at the right time.
He was covering
And
Minnesota.
He's a smart guy. He knows that if you enter a place like that, he could find himself in some consequences, and he did it anyway.
He did it because he
the
knew
risk.
what he was doing.
I
was
think
right.
he took the risk.
He was a journalist going in to cover the story, which was this group.
Oh, BS! Cover the story. What are you talking about?
It was a big story.
It was, but that doesn't mean that you break the law with everybody else. You break
He's
it.
not
you
breaking the
look
law.
from
so
outside
what is he supposed
in.
to do? He's supposed to wait outside and be like, well, they're protesting inside. We'll see what they do, and we'll come out and we'll get
Exactly. You stay there.
What kind of journalist is that?
You don't need to go inside. You can wait for the
What
pastor
kind
to
of
come
journalist
outside
is
the
that?
church.
Don
But
Lemon,
him going and put
say
himself
what
in a
you
very
want,
specific position.
is a good journalist.
He put himself in consequence position. He put himself in a risk position. He knew what he was doing.
Every journalist out there should put themselves in a risk position for the story, especially when you're fighting.
No, that's a very dangerous thing to say. That is a very dangerous
especially
thing
when
to
you're
say.
fighting for something like the First Amendment. I absolutely believe he did the right thing, and whatever they try to dig up to put him with these people, because I don't know if they're, I don't want to speak for what these people did and the charges for them. Strictly for Don, let my man go.
I love you, Eric.
Oh, love you too. Hey,
Let's get to the comments.
two angry men.
Yeah, we got to move. We got to shoot
Two angry
quickly
younger
here.
men.
So, two angry young men. For the Nancy Guthrie case, going back to that for the comments. Kayla Wright, yay, Branson and Eric made it to alive. Hey. Far out, this Nancy stuff is crazy. I'm following all the way from Australia. It's bizarre. I hope she's returned home safe. Well done, guys. Completely agree with you. Sasha, we're going to skip. We're going to move on. Sorry, I missed that one. Lee Marie, I am curious if the clothing that she had on at Annie's house was found at Nancy's house. We don't know what they found at the houses right now.
Well, the activity was around 2 a.m., so I'd imagine by that point she changed into pajamas or whatever she was sleeping in.
And again, we don't know this information yet. Keep an eye on the official statements. Luxury food travel, this is fake. Why would he do a payment plan? Because obviously they won't pay the second $50K after they get the name. Right, exactly. I don't know if this guy is legitimate. He could be somebody overseas that's just messing around and trying to take advantage of this. It's a sticky situation. Sickly Ignition said, we have dozens of YouTubers trampling all over the scene. Pizza delivered to the house. WTF, they screwed the pooch and now are doing damage control. This has nothing to do with finding Nancy.
I think there's some truth to that for sure.
I mean, there's always going to be sleuths that go out and try and do these things. Okay, well, we have to get going. We have some things to do in the office right now.
Okay.
So thank you for being on the TMZ Podcast Afternoon Edition. We'll be back here on Monday.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.